So, Liangelo Ball. We all kind of know who he is. And the reality of the situation with Jello is that he is a guy who, whether it was himself or LeVar, honestly, it was all himself. Like, he ended up almost giving LeVar control of his basketball career. But, like, he completely destroyed his own career. And ironically enough, a lot of people are going to say what destroyed his career was going to Lithuania. And I actually think that might be one of the only smart things that they've done. But anyway, before we get on to it, lads, we're doing Hoopsmas. We are doing Hoopsmas on this channel. We are trying to get to 10K by Christmas. We're uploading 10 videos a day on this channel. We're also going to be doing redrafts of every year. We're going to be grading picks. That is what we're going to be doing. But we are right now at 6.792. If we can get to 6.8K by the end of the day, we are only a grand total of 8 subscribers off. That'd be absolutely insane. We're obviously not going to hit 7K. We can hit that by tomorrow. It'd be insane. But we got to talk about Liangelo. Liangelo, look, in Chino Hills, Liangelo was literally the top scorer on that team. They were the best team in the nation. Lonzo was arguably the best player in the nation. LaMelo was the best freshman in the nation. They had another 5-star in Onyeka Okongwu. But Liangelo averaged 35 points for the best high school team in the nation. And yeah, his job was basically to be on the end, to basically be like a wide receiver and catch passes and score. And he was probably the best shooter of the three Ball brothers. And he was nearly a top 100 recruit. I think he was around 130 or something. Went to UCLA and was expected to be like a 4-year college player. Even though LeVar was saying he was going to be one and done. Look, I think, honestly, if Lonzo was as good as they thought, and Liangelo had even a mediocre year in college, because he did have 11 off the bench in his first game, he would have been like, he genuinely would have been a second-round pick, a late second-round pick. Kind of like the last pick of that draft, I'm pretty sure it was Costa Antetokounmpo, who had no right to be in the NBA at that time. But like, Liangelo would have been in that position. Except instead, he chose to go to Lithuania. And a lot of people say this was why he didn't get drafted. Ironically, I don't think so. Liangelo Ball was good in the LKL. Obviously, he played in those bullshit games that LeVar Ball just created. And I think that's where the problem with their thing in Lithuania was that they played against teams of 15-year-olds, and Liangelo was dropping like 60, I think he had 72 points on a bunch of 15-year-olds. But like, when he was playing in the actual like LKL, a high-level pro league with like good teams like Zalgiris Kaunas, like, they're a EuroLeague team, and Liangelo was good. Like, I think he was averaging like 14 a game. He was playing with and against guys that were on the Lithuanian national team who beat USA in the World Cup. Like, so he was holding his own, and he was only 19 years old. So I think he was in a really good position to at least be in conversations to be drafted coming up towards the draft, if it wasn't for the BS games. If it wasn't for the fake, not real basketball games, because in the real games he played, I thought he was good. And worst case scenario, he would have been a G League player, because he showed enough in a league not too dissimilar in level to the G League. Especially, well, to be fair, the LKL is one of those things where his team wasn't G League level, but he would have played against some G League level or better teams. And in fairness, he played well against all those teams. But instead, like, he played in the JBA and literally missed the chance to play in the G League because he was playing in a fake basketball league where they just ran up and down and shot 50 shots a game. Like, that was the moment everything kind of went wrong. And the problem with what Liangelo Ball has done was he has just made wrong decision after wrong decision. And while he was with the JBA, he had the chance to go to the BBL and play for London Lions. And look, at the time, London Lions were not. Were they what London Lions are now? Maybe they're like what London Lions are now, but it's not like the 777 London Lions where they're bringing in former NBA players. He would have been overplaying the BBL, not a awful league. Like, at the time, quite a bit better than the Irish Superleague, something like that. Similar enough to maybe like third tier in Spain, probably at the time. And he could have played for London Lions and done really well. Genuinely, he could have done really, really well. At the time, he would have won a better, not maybe not one of the better pros, but a good pro in that league, and then could have went the next year to the G League. The problem was that he was trying to get to the G League, still trying to get to the G League. They didn't take him, and he rehabbed his ankle for a year, and just didn't play competitive basketball for like a year. Then he came back, and he signed for the Thunder's G League team, and right before his first game, COVID happened. Then he got signed for the Pistons. He was training with the Pistons, made the Pistons roster for preseason, then got signed by their G League team, who pulled out of the G League. And then after that, the Hornets situation happened, where he ended up being on the Hornets roster, where he put on a jersey, played a couple of G League games, and did okay. Looked really good in a game or two in Summer League. And the weirdest thing is that the reality of the situation for Liangelo Ball is that not that he doesn't want to play ball, because he clearly does. Like, you can clearly see he has not let himself get out of shape. With the build Liangelo Ball is, he's the type of guy, like a Zion, like a Luka, that could get fat really, really quickly. You can tell Liangelo Ball cares about basketball. You can tell he's always working out. The problem is that he does not want to play in a basketball situation not where he's uncomfortable, that he feels like is beneath him, or he feels maybe like, will not prevent his goal of going to the NBA, but will take him away from his, current lifestyle of being a multimillionaire. Like, if he goes to overseas, he's not going to go overseas. He's just not. Like, we heard him in the Lonzo Ball interview where he's trying to tell him to go overseas. Liangelo's a father. He's a multimillionaire. He does not need the 50 grand a year he'd make playing overseas. Like, he does not need that. As an American with no NBA experience, with no D1 experience, and a 5-point-a-game G League player, he is not going to leave America and go overseas, leave his family for the 50 grand a year. He's also 26 years old. He'll be 27 next year. He is 26 years old. The league has come and gone, and I think he knows that. Like, there's a reason, like, even on the podcast, he's like, oh, I'm waiting on the G League. It's like, what are you doing to get into the G League? Like, genuinely, what are you doing? Nothing. Because you know it's not going to come. Like, if Liangelo Ball is at the stage now where I still think he likes playing basketball, I still think if a G League team called him tomorrow, he would say yes. But he doesn't have that, like, hunger to make it anymore. It's more of a, like, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I'm good. And look, Liangelo's a hell of a player. If you want to talk about Liangelo overseas, like, Liangelo overseas could have worked his way up. I don't think he could have worked his way up to being a EuroLeague level pro. I think he could have worked his way up to being a ACB level, a Pro A level player. Maybe not one of the top teams in those leagues, but I think on a lower team in the Pro A, on a Bundesliga team, on a good Serie A team, I think he could have played like Euro Cup or something as an import. Maybe Euro Cup, lower level Champions League. That's kind of the level where I think he could have worked up towards. And he could have been making comfortable 6 figures a year as a pro player. But that would have involved him playing basketball. The issue with Liangelo Ball has always been that he has barely played basketball. He played more games, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, but I'm almost certain that Liangelo Ball played more games in those couple of months in Lithuania. And I'm not counting the JBA, that's not real basketball. I'm pretty sure he played more games in those few months in Lithuania when he was 19 years old than he has played since. He is 26. That was 6.5 years ago. 7 years. December the 1st, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was December the 6th or December the 7th, they announced they were going to Lithuania? Or was that when they announced he was being pulled from UCLA? Either way, he has barely played a game of basketball. And a lot of people look back and say, oh, if he'd lasted 4 years in UCLA, he would have done better. Honestly, yeah, he would have. But I also think that if he had just played in Lithuania, gone to London, had played a season in London, he then would have been a shoe-in to go to the G League. He could have worked his way up in the G League. He could have stuck with it. He couldn't, he probably may not have just left the Charlotte organization when things got tough And that's another thing. Like, when things have gotten tough, he seems to just quit. And it's funny because he puts in the work to get himself into good situations. And then as soon as maybe the outcome's not what he wants, he's just kind of quit. Because the reality is that when you have the safety net of, I can just be a millionaire, live with my family, be a celebrity, you don't need to be like, you can afford to just quit. And that's the easiest thing to do. A lot of people, when you can afford to just say, oh, you know what, I'm not really enjoying this, I can just quit because I have this backup. It's an easy thing to do. And that's the reality of Liangelo's situation. Liangelo, not that he's given up on his NBA dreams, but he has. Like, for a 26-year-old to make it to the NBA who hasn't played a game, Liangelo would have to scratch and claw his way back into the league. He would have to take whatever opportunities available, do whatever he can to work his ass off, get onto any G League team, play in any overseas league, go to Puerto Rico, try play in Puerto Rico so that you can get seen enough, then to try get in the G League if you're playing well. Like, there is a path. The path for a 26-year-old to make it to the NBA is not the path that Liangelo is currently taking. So as much as he would definitely take a G League spot, as much as he's saying he wants to be, as much as I still think he's staying in shape and working out, I think he's perfectly happy not being in the NBA, even though I think he'd be very happy in the NBA. But we all know when it comes to sports, if you are just perfectly happy whether you're in or not in the NBA, and you have not played at 26, you're not. You've essentially given up. You've essentially given up. He is waiting for an opportunity to fall into his lap, which means realistically he's given up trying.